welcome back to my channel. My name is Claire. It has been a hot minute since I've been able to do a formal sit-down video because I've been in the midst of a very intense move across state. So I'm now back in Iowa in my new place. I don't quite have a setup for how I'm gonna film my formal videos yet, so I thought it would be fun to combine an unhauling book video with a little tour of my new place. So if you guys are excited for this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe. That really helps me out. As of right now, I'm almost at 850, which means I'm almost at 1K subscribers, which is crazy. Once I hit 1K, I will be able to monetize this channel and then really treat it like the part-time job it already is for me. So anyway, thank you so much for all of your support. But before I officially start this video about all the books that I'm going to be getting rid of, I wanted to talk a book that I received recently, and that is from CJ Sorvik. He is an indie author. He reached out to me to see if I would be interested in SoulWeaver, which is an adult fantasy. He sent me the Amazon link to his book so you can read like the first few pages, which I did. I was impressed by the writing and I just love the idea of the story. And first of all, I think this is one of the coolest covers that I've genuinely seen on the market. Not just like, oh, it's cool for an indie book. I think it's just a really rad, dope cover. So the back of the book reads, "Saved by a mysterious Eye of Lethandril, a shape-shifting warrior who keeps watch over the land, Weaver, an orphaned boy, is given a choice: remain on the harsh streets of Dibur or enter a life of hardship and trial, but never go hungry again. For him, the choice is clear. Now thrust into a world of unknown danger and magic, Weaver will need to learn how to survive. Nefarious fairies, violent storms, and out-of-control elves are merely the beginning." That alone, I'm like, wow, I love all those things. Like, I love grounded fantasies, obviously, because I'm a huge fan of Joe Abercrombie, but I also really like anything that has more of a fairy tale touch to it. I also really like the idea of there being, you know, this shape-shifting wolf protector figure and this young boy, kind of a coming of age story. And I love his name is Weaver. There was just so much about it that was like, whoa, I genuinely would be interested in this. So I'm super excited to crack into this book. I need to finish Emma first, but this will be my next read. So you will definitely hear more about this book and this author in the future, but I wanted to point that out because I am very thankful that he sent the book to me in the first place, a hard copy of the book, because that is how I prefer to read. Thank you so much, CJ, and let's get on with the unhaul. So first of all, hello, welcome to the other side of my room. And the first set of books that I'm definitely planning of discarding are ones that are kind of wacky. I picked up in the first place. I think I got them when I was 17 or 18 with my friend, and I was just so excited to see them, and there was such nostalgia with them, and there still is, but it's just like I don't need to haul them around. You know, maybe when I have kids in the future, I can pick them back up for them. And that is the Royal Diaries series, the Cleopatra one, Marie Antoinette one, and Elizabeth I. So if you were a bookish gal in the early to mid 2000s, there were these great book series where they were set up like little diaries. There's all different perspectives. So there would be like the prairie girl that's traveling along the Oregon Trail, or a settler girl that's just coming in from England, and they'd be set up like little diaries, and they were super fun. But the ones that I liked the most, of course, were the Royal Diary series. And it's fun because they're based off of historical figures rather than just kind of a random time period. And so you got a lot of information about like Marie Antoinette or Cleopatra. These two are my favorite, especially the Marie Antoinette one. I did a whole book report on these two books, so I have like such fond memories of them. I remember genuinely learning a lot and getting really into history in the time period that I got into these books. And when I went to half price books as a teenager and saw that they were all only $1, I was just so excited that I grabbed them up. But there's just no reason for me to hold on to to them. As delightful as they are and as highly as I would recommend them to late elementary or middle school girls that are super into historical, specifically female historical figures, I don't need to be holding on to them anymore. All right, the lighting is about to get so wacky and inconsistent while I'm moving throughout the house, so bear with me. But welcome to my little bathroom portion area. And I don't think it will be a big surprise why I'm unhauling these next few books. That is The Crown of Thunder. If you've been with my channel for a while, then I think like one of my first book hauls from 2018, I picked up this book, I was excited about it, and only when I really started reading it, I just wasn't paying attention when I bought it. This is the sequel to another book. Not saying it's bad, I just haven't heard anything about this series and I never gathered the interest to pick up the first book. Therefore, I can't justify keeping around the second book. So this next one should not shock anybody because it is by far one of the worst books that I've read in a while, but especially in 2019, and that is These Rebel Waves. I did a reading vlog, I made it halfway through the book, and I couldn't do it. Personally, I found the writing to be terrible, borderline nonsensical. I didn't like any of the characters. I could not understand what was going on, and it's a shame because I was so looking forward to reading it, which I think is the worst. It's one thing when you pick up a book at random and you don't like it, but when you're anticipating it, because it's like, oh, there's all these different POVs, a revolutionary, a raider, a prince, so it's like a pirate thing going on. It's not even like, oh, it's so bad, it's fun to read, to make fun of. Nope, it's just not worth anyone's time and is definitely not worth taking up any more of my limited book space. All right, so these next books are ones that I'm specifically going to give to some friends of mine who are interested in reading them. I'm not necessarily against keeping them in my collection, but if I obviously can lend them out to people who are going to read them and maybe enjoy them more than I have, then I might as well do that. So the first one, actually I straight up don't like this book, but it is King of Scars by Leah Bardugo. It is part of the Grisha trilogy and the Six of Crows duology. So because I have those series and I really like them, I thought I would love this. I have a whole review about this book and basically going over all the different reasons from a character perspective, plot perspective, writing perspective, why I really, really, really don't like this book and think that it was a huge mistake. But I have several friends who had no issues with it, so depends on taste and preference and all that jazz. And the next one is Nevernight. So this one I almost want to keep purely because I really like the cover. It is really beautiful and interesting and creepy and cool. But again, I have a friend who specifically has been interested in reading it. And while I did not dislike Nevernight, I'm glad I read it. I can't say I love it. I've heard a lot of people praise the Nevernight series, but I ultimately, especially given some time, because I think I read it back in December, there's a sense of mystery, like layered mystery throughout the book that I think was handled with a lot of grace and a lot of craft and tact. And then I think there's a lot of it, just the premise itself, the way certain characters were written, and even the writing that seemed a little too much. It's definitely not my favorite. I think on Goodreads it stands at like a 2 stars. So I hope my friend enjoys it a lot more than me. Oh, and I am on the fence on this one. So it's Sorcery of Porns. I have a review video on this. I think this is one of the most beautiful covers out there. And every time I look at it, I'm like, gosh, that is just so beautiful. Whatever this world is that this cover is displaying, I want to be in it. But I read it. And much like These Rebel Waves, I was so excited for it. I specifically bought it on my birthday last year because I heard so much hype about it. Nowhere near as bad as These Rebel Waves, but there are points in this book where it's nonsensical, not exciting. I found a lot of the dialogue to be extremely cringe. I found the main character to be boring. I found the romance, which a lot of people seem to attach to be nearly non-existent. I found the plot to be kind of all over the place. The redeeming thing was the idea of these like magical libraries and people who have to protect it, and books almost being treated like beasts in cages that wardens need to be over because they can turn into monsters. Like, there's ideas there that are genuinely really cool. I'm not sure I'm going to unhaul it. Like I said, I'm on the fence about it purely because the cover is so pretty. It's so beautiful. I do enjoy looking at it, but should a friend request to have it, I will have no problem sending it their way. Hi, hello, welcome to the kitchen. The next and final books that I'm definitely going to be unhauling is The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss, which is the sequel to The Name of the Wind. The Space Trilogy by C.S. Lewis. I'm also a little bit on the fence about this one just because I picked this up in one of those neighborhood libraries. I was just surprised by what great condition this book is in, the fact that there's 3 in 1. I think the cover is really cool and beautiful. I haven't read that much C.S. Lewis, but I'm interested in it. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not naturally inclined to read like sci-fi, and I already have the Chronicles of Narnia series 2 that I would like to get into, and so it's like, okay, I should probably just like step my toe into C.S. Lewis and make sure that I actually connect with him on that level before trying my hand at his sci-fi work. I'm sure I could always find it again if I need to scratch that itch. Wise Man's Fear, I did already read, and as well as The Name of the Wind, but that book I lent to somebody that I'm not really in communication with anymore, so I just don't have that book. And that's really what it comes down to, is if I had The Name of the Wind and Wise Man's Fear, I could have them as a set, but just having the one, I'm like, it's a really big book. It doesn't look very good because it's paperback, so the sides all crinkled. Now, I know that Patrick Rothfuss released a new edition of Name of the Wind with like a really, I don't want to say cool, an interesting new cover design and all of that. And should I happen to come across like at a half-price book or something like that, or be, I guess, gifted Name of the Wind set, or fingers crossed the actual trilogy if that 3rd book ever comes out, then yeah, I wouldn't mind owning them, even though I have very conflicted Patrick Rothfuss feelings. It's a series that I do have some attachment to, and does feel like a pretty prominent cornerstone in my fantasy book journey. So I'm not against owning them, but just owning this one copy of this kind of ratty book, I'm like, even if it just ends up at Goodwill, maybe someone else will find it and pick it up and find some enjoyment in it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening while I go over all the books that I am for sure going to be unhauling. You will also definitely see more of my place in future writing vlogs. I just want to let you know that I do appreciate you guys so much, and that I do reply to every single comment on every single video. Sometimes it takes me a second to get to them. I read them, I think about them, and I appreciate you taking the time to comment on my videos at all. That's like one of my favorite parts of the day and the main reason that I'm on this platform. I love connecting with you guys. I love when you reach out to me. So anyway, thank you so much. I love and appreciate you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye. Now that I have a loft, I can use the airsoft gun to shoot my friends from upstairs.